Boom! Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser.
And I am Johnny B.
I am James Workshop.
And I am the miniature painter.
But together we are
Modeling
for
Knowledge. Oh, best yet.
that's gonna be grim on the playback.
Fantastic.
We might have to go through them and pick which is the best one. Not that we have any idea how well they time up in advance. Colette Bato says Mauritius Football Association. I don't know whether that means anything to anyone. I'm not in
MfA,
Mauritius.
Modeling for Advantage.
MfA.
MfA.
There you go. Boom. Rich John used one of the emojis. Yep. Thank you. Team Clueless Games is here. Good evening. And Nick. Rosie Raccoon is here. Yes, Taylor, howdy. Be listening in the background. Are you in here somewhere, mate? When you say listening in the background?
Whose background?
Where?
Working on my Baron's War Medieval Weathenu, painting horses, something I managed to avoid in 30 years of wargaming.
I have that in my near future.
I don't mind painting horses. I think it's all you good painters that are bothered by horses. Us trash painters are not affected by it.
True.
I paint it brown. I put a chestnut wash on it. It looks great.
Okay, cool.
It's on the Facebook group. Yep. If you are a regular watcher of the show, there is a Facebook group. There are notes down in the thing. It's a very small group where people can share their work and so forth. Played dwarves in Warhammer as a kid. I had a dwarf army, mate. 3 inches of movement. Beautiful. Josh Wood, evening all. Can you imagine that? He played a game where your basic unit moved 3 inches.
Yeah, but they didn't need to move. They just sat on a hill, man.
Yep.
You sit on a hill, cannons on a hill, regiments in front. Boom.
Yep. And then the Dark Elf Assassin just came and killed them all.
Yep.
Blood Bowl is awesome. 2nd edition human team. Is that the metal ones you've got, John?
Second edition of the early plastic.
No, it's the same era as those plastic ones, but they're all a bit.
The second version of human plastics, I think.
Alacrity P, good evening. Tony Halton, good evening. Wardrobe Pairs World War II. Dang, I thought and hoped Johnny B was shirtless because that shirt is so close to his skin in color. You pasty Wardrobe Plays World War II. Just can't get his name right. His name is Todd. I can't remember what he was before. What was he before? He had a different channel name, though. A different channel. Oh no, I've completely forgotten what it was. Then he changed it to Wardrobe. Then Wardrobe Plays World War II. Now he's not even playing. Oh, The Robe he was briefly. He's not even playing World War II games, man. I mean, what is this? The notes and links in the doofer. That is a fact. Down in the doofer, that's where you will find the information. Right, that's us. What are we up to today? I'm clipping from sprue. I had a plan, and then I had the wrong modeling box here. So I'm clipping heads off sprues to make some Celts for SPQR. Johnny
nice. I've got a menagerie in front of me. I'm currently working on a commando, World War II British commando with LMG. But I might change my mind in a moment and do something else. Who knows? The workshop.
I'm going to carry on working on my bolt action. I dropped it. Bolt action Soviets. It's fine. It's not the metal ones, it's the plastic ones. Just bolt action Soviets. They're like the background thing that I do behind everything else when I finish another project. What are you up to?
Right. I am working on another project, which is English Civil War. I've painted enough Napoleonics in my time, and it's time for a change. And
who are you painting?
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. Where is it? There it is. About these sprays.
Yeah.
Give it a wash beforehand. Brings out all the details. And that's what I'm working on. The Royalists.
The Royalists? Loyalists? Yeah. Royalists? Anyways, what's that I hear? Did somebody say Justin? Justin, would you be so kind as to tell the lovely viewers at home a bit about yourself and where they can find you on the YouTubes, please?
I will. Right, my name is Justin, and I am the miniature painter. I had a channel called Basic Miniature Painting, but I changed it quite a while ago. So if you just look up the miniature painter, you will find me in all my gloriousness. What I paint is Napoleonics, anything historicals, and I do vaguely delve into bolt action as well. So that is me.
Very nice.
Vaguely dabbling bolt action, eh?
I say vaguely, but I have got a US force, a German force, a Japanese force.
Oh wow!
So
is that your version of dabble?
Yeah,
that sounds a bit more than a dabble, sir.
It's a rather deep dabble you've got going on.
Well, I don't know how long ago you started. I kept the feeling it was a similar sort of time frame to me. Have you been doing it about 2 years, Justin?
What's that, YouTube?
Yeah.
4 years.
You've been doing it 4 years?
Yeah.
All right, okay. But you've been pretty much the whole time I've been actively doing YouTube and following the community, you've been painting Napoleonics pretty much continuously, including Austrians in white uniforms. Ooh.
Wow.
I didn't just buy one box, I bought 3.
Right.
So that was like 120, 132 miniatures, one in white. And that was really simple, actually. It was the GW contrast spray, which is, I think, Wraithbone.
Wraithbone is one.
And a very thin wash of non-oil, like a 1 oil to, say, 3 water over the top. You've still got your white sitting there, and all you've got to do is thin down a very, very, very thin, something like mummy robes or something like that, and over the strapping, and that's it. That's all you got to do, and that's the white literally done.
That doesn't sound quite so bad.
I mean, you've still got the white from the spray, but it's just a little bit darker. But to me, it works.
So it means that the straps and the band all that
slightly different color
out a little
to the actual uniform. Yeah,
it may. Sounds like
to me, that works.
How many different methods did you go through before you settled on that one? Or did you just find someone else's and that seems to work? I'll do that.
I went
no shame in that. That's how all my models are painted.
An entire box of Austrians from Perry's just to find the right way of doing it. I tried building up from greys. I know some people have built up from black, and that's just yeah. I know that's just demonic to me. That's like a no.
Yeah.
So it's just literally experimenting. Greys.
I found
greys, but
a tasty way of doing white. It's very similar to what you did there, Justin. But I use the grey sear contrast.
Yeah.
So that's the slightly sort of cooler colour, because I prefer the cooler. And I'll do that. Then I'll use the contrast apothecary white, which is very light grey, and then just highlight the edges back up. It's certainly less chalky than you'd normally get doing the whole. Who the hell? How do you even get from black to white? Man?
I don't know. I think it's black to dark grey to light grey to white. But that's like 5 coats. And that's just serious patience to do that.
But some people are crazy for that.
Yep.
Good work. Yeah, that's the only time I've done white recently is for the Athenians. And I started white on that, actually white, and then just non-oiled a lot and painted back up white.
Yeah.
And I think it came up okay.
Yeah.
But I think using off-white rather than trying to use white was quite a big difference in how they turned out.
Yeah.
Actually trying to use white is a nightmare. But if you go off-white, it all looks fine when you finish.
Interesting.
But I think a lot of the problem with white is like what Justin just highlighted there, though, isn't it? It's not just that white is a difficult paint to use. It's very strong in its pixelation or pigmentation, isn't it? It goes. You pick up the texture really quickly, and you feel like you're painting with milk. You're either painting with milk or you're painting with chalk. It's like, I want something in between the two, please. But it's when you're painting a white model, but you've got to have other areas of it more white, like you mentioned, the strapping. In that case, and like that's where you've got real problems, isn't it? I think it's a difficult difficult one to work with. Yeah, certainly when I did the Carthaginians, I did something very similar. I think I painted it white, I annulled it, and then I dry brushed it. I think I started with the white, knowing it was going to be the potentially the problem area, and the knowledge that, like yours, it's just the leather. Is that leather Greek cuirass was the only thing I had to paint, and the skirt. So I was fairly confident I could just straight up paint the straps afterwards. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as there'd been a wash in there, I could just paint along the straps afterwards if I needed to. If it hadn't worked. Yeah. What are other people's experiences of painting with white? I'll just have a look at the comments. Howard Everton says, gave up painting horses, reminded me of Neighbours. Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
American Civil War, then unboxing of a World War One game with McMurray. I watched you having a look at that last night. I came into the stream halfway through and I was trying to work out what game it was, and it slowly dawned on me it wasn't World War II. It was the First World War. You've been widening your range of games on the channel. Has it changed era, genre? What rule set is your favorite? Is that a question for me or a question for Justin?
Well, if it's a question
Make it
for
a
me,
question for everyone. We're all on a channel.
I don't really play games, so all I do is paint and collect. So rule sets is like over my head completely. I'm just a purchaser, buyer, painter, collector.
But even regards that, the variedness of what you've done over the time, like just the pre-ramble beforehand, your first video was Necrons, right? You said,
yeah, very,
you've gone from that.
Yeah, my very first video was Necrons, and that was only because I found the channel, Nick's channel, Idic Beer.
Oh,
I started watching him, and someone said, as one of the old managers, Games Workshop, literally said, Necrons are easy. And I said, why? He said, just spray them silver. And that's it. That's all he said. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So I got into that and doing that. And it was my first 4 or 5 videos was dry brushing and washing them and building them. But then I thought, well, these are easy. I need something to challenge me as a painter to get better. Someone said, what about Napoleonics? And that's like the button counters and silver, not gold, and all that sort of rubbish.
Oh yeah. My favorite historical moment was John's first paratrooper that he painted.
Oh, I'd recently just got into contrast paints. I went all in and bought pretty much all of them, and I thought, right, contrast is going to speed up my painting 1,000,000 times.
Which it hasn't.
So I had some paras. No, it hasn't at all. It has a little bit, but not really. So I painted a single para. I was like, yeah, well, chuff, look, I did the smock and everything. And what did I do, Kaiser? Did I post it somewhere?
You posted it on like the Bolt Action Facebook group or something.
That's right, yeah. And they're like, yeah, it's lovely, but shame it's completely the wrong color. I'm like, oh shit. And I cannot take criticism like that. So that one got swiftly repainted.
It's one of these great sort of Kaiser and Johnny B moments. We get these occasionally where I'll say something and John will dig his heels in over it. And one of these who's painting these paratroopers, I don't think they're the right colours, mate. And he's like, it looks great. It looks like a British paratrooper. And as I said, he goes and puts it on this Facebook page. It's a beautiful model, mate, but it's not a British paratrooper. Something like that.
Excuse the crop shop there. One of the best of the. We still haven't answered that question, Audro, but we will get round to it. But this was the biggest. I bought some Pataka blue paints, and it comes with names of what they all are, and I was like, Dunkelgelb, okay, that's cool. So I chose one of the 4 Dunkelgelbs that I had, and I chose the wrong Dunkelgelb. Let's put it that way. Kaiser quickly pointed me to the right one. And I was still adamant, though. I was like, no, this is going to look great. F you, Kaiser. F you. And then I got home and I was like, yeah, he's actually right. This looks really bad.
Right.
So I got that done.
He sat painting it at my kitchen table and he's like pointing at the little it's a set, it's paint in German tanks paint kit. But it's Japanese. Somebody's obviously translated this wrong. And I'm trying to explain it to him. He's painting this cream coloured. like a Karamak bar or something, a white chocolate.
It's so wrong.
As its base color, like, John, that is not the right color. And he's like,
one of these.
It is. That's
Look,
what
the instructions.
Yeah. I was like, look, it says it there.
So I don't care what it
Anyway.
says there. So after he finished painting it, he painted the whole thing again.
Going back to Wardrobe Players World War II, Mr. Todd, sir, you've been widening your range of games on the channel. Has it changed? What has it changed? What era, genre, rule set is your favourite? For me, it has. Yes, sort of. I really like 40k because I'm a bit of a bum boy like that. But I also enjoyed Bolt Action. However, since Kaiser and I have been working together, I'm really enjoying, although I lose very frequently, Flams of War in the World War II setting is beautiful. I do actually enjoy that game, mainly because although I'm never going to get around to painting an entire army of it, we played a game not so long ago. Okay, it was Team Yankee, but the same sort of thing. And the forces you can create with those are stunning. It really is when you've got that entire army out on the board. So yeah, I guess I'm definitely being pulled more the way of historicals, and that would be. It's slowly becoming my favourite. I think Flames of War. We've already established Justin's moved from the workshop, and he's gone into. Got dragged into the Napoleonics with his painting, so that's similar.
Yep.
What about you, James? I mean, you're a 40k fanboy too, right?
I have been since I was like 4 years old, so yeah,
Yeah.
It's been a long time. But with the channel, I don't think playing 40k is really that much of an interest at the moment. I think that might be the new edition. It might be a few other things, but I think World War II has definitely taken me a little bit more. I think playing tanks was kind of a seminal moment of noticing that like I can play a game with 5 models and it's still nuanced and fast and fun. And then that sort of got me into Flames of War, which is a bit longer and dragged out, but it's still like an hour and a half game. Yeah. It's still an hour and a half game to play like a decent sized game. And I think I just want that. I was happy for years with a 3-hour game to sit around with some beers. And now I think I want something a little bit easier and quicker. And World War II is fascinating. So it's
and you can tick it as complete because you actually finish the games.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I have actually played the game.
It doesn't have the thing as well with 40k, at least it used to, where you would know half an hour into a 2.5 hour game kind of who'd won.
I don't know. There have been some occasions where it has 100%. Been
but you need to fudge with everything in order to make that work. Like both of you need to sit down and be like, this is the list I've got. Make a list that suits this list, and then you need to play objectives, and then you need to do like everything right for that kind of game to happen. You can't sit down with someone who's turned up with a force the same size and just say, let's play a game, and it will be fair. Because you can look at the roster list sometimes and work out who's won the game already.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen that yet with Flames of War in 40k. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And Age of Sigmar as well.
But for comparison, if you've not seen it, the game of World of Tanks, the miniatures game we just put up, John and I played. The game literally goes down to the turn of the last shot of the game causes a critical. The turn of this card will decide the winner.
Which I conveniently turn and then place just off camera, so nobody can see.
Tell us what the result is, but yeah, because we've zoomed the cameras in to the action, when he actually flips the card, you guys don't see it. But he wouldn't have known that in advance unless he looked at the screen. But yeah, you said that about Tanks. I honestly think that Tanks is a far better game than it's ever going to get the credit for. I think just as not as a hardcore game, but it's got that initiative system that it's got in it, and the nature of the movement and turn sequence is your head's in the game the whole time.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's not got tactics in the conventional sense because your tanks are running around the board like they're playing Car Wars or something.
Yeah, man.
I think it's what Gasland should be like. Gasland isn't like that because it has complicated mechanics. You've got these tanks skidding around all over the place. John was playing dodgems with his Cromwells in that game,
mate,
to try and block line of sight from one with another and all that. But yeah, it is a cracking little game, I think. And like you say, there's because I think, and I'm sorry, Justin, I will come to you.
Yeah, right.
I think that we confuse and blend the different aspects of the hobby, and for each player that blend is really different. And by what do I mean? I'm saying that there's the player and the gamer and the hobbyist and the collector, and these are all different aspects of ourselves and our interest in the hobby. And I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is we bring ourselves, the collector, to the table. I want to have all of the things, and I want to have all of the models, and I want to use all of the models. Thinking, right, but that's gonna destroy your game if you want to, you want to use all the different models all the time, because you go for bigger and bigger and bigger games, which I think less and less and less fun.
It certainly becomes more of a chore than anything else when you escalate to that level.
But I'm very much, I'm a gamer, then a hobbyist, then a collector. So I want the best possible game experience, which for me usually means that's half the size of the army that they reckon you should use, and see what that looks like as a game. Anyway, so Justin, because of the content you've been doing on YouTube, would you say that you're interested? I know you don't play the games. Would you say your interest in era has changed? And I know you touched upon this. You started with the Games Workshops.
Yeah. I think with anyone who gets to a certain age in their life, they like to watch the old war films. And I think Kaiser knows where I'm going. And you get the old war films, and when you watch them, especially me, I'll watch them and I'll go, "Oh, that's good. I'll buy some of them." And it just snowballs from there. And the next week I can watch a film about. It's like I've been following Martin Brooke from Seventh Son. And he's been going on about his English Civil War and War of the Roses.
Yeah.
And for me, when I do this many, I've done this many Napoleonics, it gets to the stage where, you know what, I can't do any more white straps. I can't do any more buttons. I can't do any more collars and cuffs. And having the odd batch of Germans sitting there is a really nice treat, because you just stop what you're doing and paint something completely different.
Yeah.
So to me, any period in history is fascinating for me. I don't know what it is. It's like, for me, I've said this before on a few channels, a few videos, where you're bringing that person back to life or what they've done, especially World War II. But to me, that's just like a big thing for me. So
yeah, remembering.
Yeah.
All right, going
your own way
to the comments. Jason from Bat Knights, good evening, Munchkins. We're hoping to have Jason on next week, and we're going to talk about, if he can make it, we're going to talk about fantasy games, I think. Just out, is it today? You just had your latest Dragon Rampant game, John? You did with Jason?
It's just released today. We did film that a little while ago now, but yeah, another little dabble with Dragon Rampant. So not a bad game.
I saw it came up. I watched the first 5 minutes of it. Yeah. Lee Brown, good evening, folks. What have I missed? You've missed a couple of old blokes waffling and a couple of youngsters, just looking on in awe and wonder. Usual gamer dabble equals 4 or 5 armies. Absolutely. Yeah, Gary. Hello there, Gary. I've not seen Gary for quite a while because I've not been down the chat so much. Hello, Gary. I like the Space Wolves contrast for white. It gives a slight blue tinge to the foe.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Space Wolves grey, yeah.
Now, I know like when like artists, people who paint on canvases, when they paint whites, they often put pinks or blues in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miller's Miniatures is here. Good evening. White can be a beast. Gosh, still talking about that. Yeah, these comments are from back on the white. But the internet problems in the Welsh Hills tonight. Good evening. Well, from the hills resounding is what I hear. After your last year, I took the plunge and have bought into bolt action and loving it. Awesome, Gary. Should have got in touch, mate. I could have done you a deal on a starter army.
Hey.
Got an online store, mate. That's it. Me and you, done. No, ahoy there, sailor. The IP problem has annoyed me with GW, but seeing other games work so easily. Flames was a 15mm. It is a 15mm game. And Nick Game says, "Good evening, gents."
Good
So
evening.
John and I played a game of Team Yankee the other day. There was some photographs put up on the Facebook group of that, and like I said, it was one of the first times just with this little
Slight difference in scale. It's 15,
little
28.
4x4 table. Nom, 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 nom. And it really looked like a modern composite operation of vehicles. Yeah. Although we quickly found that the vehicles get quite cluttered, and yeah,
because they don't come off the bleeding board, so
yes.
They're still on where they died.
Yeah, which was a bit more of an issue. And the next game we're going to play, just while we're on the subject of it, here's one for you. So this is
Way
a ball action board.
Put yourself on the big screen, Kaiser. Put yourself on the big screen.
Thank you, John. On the big screen. Boosh.
Oh, look at that.
So,
very nice.
That is a very nice setup. I do like that.
So it's a little bit different from normally. We're quite determined to have a big lump of line of sight scenery somewhere central to the board. But we do try and think about our boards as recreating the real world. And you sometimes hear me talking about that sort of thing. So one of the things, I probably shouldn't have done this until I finished talking about it. I'll go back and do that because to illustrate the point, actually.
Yeah.
Right. So we got some bunkers. And we got some bunkers so that we can do the D-Day campaign. You've got that British D-Day campaign book, haven't you, John?
Yes.
Yeah.
British sectors.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I've physically seen it. I know he's got it. It might even be here on the desk somewhere.
It's actually in the room with you.
Yeah. So one of the things about that, though, is we want to test out the bunker rules, but we don't want the bunker to completely dominate the game. So what we decided to do was we've got a bunker here, but it's facing the wrong way. If you're going to have a platoon-sized action against the bunker, then they're probably not attacking it from the front. Because if that works, then your defenses are utterly shite. If a platoon of guys can take it frontally. So what we've ended up doing then here, that's why so much of the front of this board is cleared. Because the whole point about bunkers is they're in prepared positions.
Mm-hmm.
They have cleared the ground in front of it. It has an uninterrupted field of fire. Otherwise, it's a really shit bunker. How long does it take to make that concrete bunker? A lot less time than it takes to get 20 guys to cut down them 18 trees. Get on with it. Clear this field of fire. So that was the kind of idea in this battlefield. The bunker isn't going to be that important. It's just the objective.
Right.
Yes.
Makes sense.
But it has dominated the way that we've set out the board.
Yeah.
Which will come up with a completely different type of game. You have to play it very differently from usual.
Yeah, but
excellent.
The defenses are all facing the other way. So there was no need then to think about how the bunker is going to affect play, just the four sides or whatever. So this bunker faces the wrong way, mate. It's not actually useful at all. It just is a reason why half of the board is quite flat and open, and the other half is underdeveloped and it's just scrubland rather than farmed. Josh Wood, mobile action looks great. We do probably put more effort into the bolt action boards than anything else.
Well, yeah, we do, and it's one of the games we've been playing a lot more of. So I think the biggest challenge is trying not to have the same fligging board
every week
as we've done in previous ones, because we always have a crossroads. We always have a straight road down the middle, or it's really tough,
got, right?
Yeah, well, we have got what we got, but it's trying to mix it up a bit, try and remember, and a little bit of a narrative. I mean, that's just going to be a straight up game that we're doing there, out of the missions that you get in the book. But we wanted that theme,
missions, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it will allow us to explore the rules for bunkers without them actually having a big effect on the game. So there might be some guys hiding in there, but they can't shoot out of it because they're facing the wrong way. or whatever. But there's the capacity to think about how those rules are going to impact. Look at those hedges. Yeah, that's what John's been doing with his week off, mate. These are the same hedges we've had all
they get furrier.
But they, you could see so what we've done is we've just expanded the fur. Whereas it's more fashionable these days to tidy up those edges and trim it back. We added, mate, extra bushy.
Just to hide the lollipop stick, because we found ourselves doing it. We found ourselves doing it, recently. We've been putting fluff around the lollipop sticks.
That's a term.
That was unintentional. For a long time. I'm not even sure. I think I obviously
the lollipop stick.
Did I just make some sort of penis-related faux pas again?
The rest of us didn't need to use the word penis, just to clarify.
Oh, right.
Sorry about that. With inference. We didn't need
okay.
Carry on. Sorry.
I didn't have that word in my vocab. I only had the other one, the one that should not be said again. But yes.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the word penis. Just be proud.
Lollipop stick.
Go on.
Lollipop stick. That's what we were doing. We found ourselves doing that anyways. So instead of going and doing every flipping game, Kaiser said, "Can you just glue the thing on the thing?" So I glued the thing on the thing, and there you go. Bushes.
Lots of them. Bushes done. Yeah, that's what that is.
But we need more. We do
need to make some more. Yeah, but we're going to play a game on this board. Garrett's is loving it. Going to have a game. Yeah. We're talking about that. I've got Italian Bersaglieri and Paratroop, British Airborne, and Germans for bolt action. Says Mark. Every mark?
All the marks. Yeah.
All the marks in one day. Grenades, bolt action. No. I say big problem is the wrong word. It's not a big problem. It is problematic that there are not grenades, because there are definitely moments when troops with rifles and machine guns find it very difficult to kill troops that are very close to them. And there should be...
Still bitter about that assault, aren't you, into that ruin?
Yeah, mate. Still bitter. Still bitter. Yeah. Go trim that bush. No, mate, we got extra hairy. Interestingly, today I have had two entirely different men working in my garden. One to clear a wasp's nest. Boo.
Right.
Although I didn't take it away with him. Just, squirted powder and stuff down. It's like, mate, you could have just sent me that in the post. And then I had some traveling work dudes turn up and said, "Do you want us to trim your hedge?" And I said, "No, but if you can cut back the brambles, I'm interested in that." So they've slashed their arms and legs to pieces, cutting back all of my overgrown brambles, which I'd actually just had a letter from the council about. So that was timely.
Oh.
To answer my question, I was just able to listen to the answer.
So he was doing something else, and he's just been able to listen to the answer.
Now he's caught up. All right. Okay. So should we have a look at a few pictures? Have I got pictures from you this week, John?
Nothing new.
Nothing new. I've got some pictures from James, though.
Ooh.
Certainly do.
So if I did a share the screen.
This is a collection of things that are either work in progress or I've just finished.
There you go.
Oh, that's that my picture, is it? That's the picture you sent me.
That's the picture I sent you, but it's a place.
That's the IS-2 from the World of Tanks Miniatures game. So expect another short review sometime soon.
I think you did really, really good job on that. Right, what we got here, James?
So you've got the Cruel Boys from the new Age of Sigmar starter set. I've got them built up with a bit of basing on them. They are big models. They're a lot bigger than I expected.
Really?
They're probably
they're lanky, aren't they?
Sort of Primaris. They're Primaris height models with big spears,
Right.
big shields. They're way bigger than I expected. I was expecting sort of like between a goblin and an orc, but it's probably about as tall as the Ard Boys, which was a bit of a shock to me. And that guy at the front's massive, as you can see by his goblin-sized friend right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll zoom in a bit on him. he is the thing I like the least in all of this. I've got to say, this chap.
I like that model. He's very gladiatorial. I like that feature about him.
But he's got like some kind of candelabra on his head.
Yeah, it's in case things drop on him.
Is that not more of a pitchfork or a
trident,
de-weaving
implement?
A head trident.
It's specifically his helmet that I don't. I think I really dislike it actually quite strongly. Taking a real dislike to it.
You've got strangely strong opinion to one Cruel Boy's helmet, but otherwise the models are lovely.
Yeah, man.
Well, because I think for me it ruins it. Is why.
Trim it off.
Chop it off then.
Chop it. Then he won't have a Swede. He needs Swede.
Don't chop his head off.
A helmet.
The helmet's
chop his whole head.
I reckon.
Well, that is.
I reckon you'd be all right with the helmet if it didn't have the trident on it.
Oh, just cut that off. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That might work. Yeah, as the wee man, isn't he cool?
He's a temporary invulnerable save as well. You just throw him in front of models and he takes the wound.
Oh, so he's got great rules as well.
Yeah. It gives the other guy an invulnerable save. Basically, he's got a 5+ invulnerable save. But if you pass that save, then it dies. It's like on a 6, the stab grot stops him. On a 5, the stab grot dies, and anything else, you take the wound or something along those lines. It's like there's a bit of a chart to it. It's really cool.
You can throw him in front of a nasty injury.
Yeah,
and he'll soak it up, and he may or may not survive. Yeah, I do like what they're doing with a lot of their more recent orc kits. They're throwing in the novelty character,
excellent.
aren't they?
Nurglings went so well.
Yeah. All right, look at this. Hey, that's what we want to see.
Slightly behind where my bolt action Soviets are at the moment. Yeah, but not much more to it than that. I think that's my 500 point force as it is. I might have thrown in the mortar that isn't actually in the army, or the gun. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
How long would it take you to crack those boys out?
Yeah.
Justin?
Pardon, sorry, I was miles away.
How long do you reckon it'd take you to crack that lot out if you're painting it?
What we got there? 3 sections, a tank, a sweet looking little tank.
Probably about a week and a half, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, about
week and a half. I've been working on it
for
6 months, and that's where I got to.
Yeah, about a week and a half, I think.
Nice. Well,
so what we're looking at here, this is T26 with radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got the later turret on it at the moment, I think.
Yeah. And that wireframe around the outside, I think that's that. So
So that's the later one. And then you've got 2 units of 7 infantry, both of whom have a DP.
DP.
So your officer at the front. You've got a Maxim and a mortar in the back. Sniper team to the right of them. Then you've got the field artillery gun. I suddenly can't remember the name of. And then a unit of SMGs. Thank you very much. I've just wiped that thing from my memory since building it. It was a horrible experience.
Look at these guys. They've not got drum magazines. Come on, the drum magazines are the cool one. Or are they metal figures?
No, they are plastic figures. No, you didn't get the choice. No, so 2 of them have got sticks, 3 of them have got drums. I think sticks were the more common one anyway. They had a bit of an odd thing with the. I'm going to go off on one if I don't. They were so badly manufactured that you ended up finding like the drum that worked on your PPSH. You just kept. You found the drum that worked. You just kept it throughout the whole war.
Right.
Because otherwise, if you ever tried to swap it, it would probably not work. But the stick magazines work really well.
So you might be able to swap it for another one.
Yeah. I think the magazine was actually designed for an earlier gun, and they just ported it over not very well.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, it's probably more that it's just all of these things have got really, really low tolerances. They're stamped. I think they're not precision engineered.
Yeah.
It's just
stamped by the millions by people who weren't trained engineers.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter how well trained you are. The machine stamps it to that size. It's mostly that size, but it's not exact.
Exactly.
And as all this metal gets folded, it's all slightly different, isn't it? In each case. Sten, similar, stamped weapon, really, really unreliable. but
Really unreliable.
very cheap. We like cheap. So that's those.
them.
And then something a bit different, isn't it?
Oddly enough, some Necrons.
Oh, wow.
So this is the
This is back
grand
when you were
majority.
excited about 8th edition.
It was, yeah. Yeah. So this is the grand majority of whatever that starter set was called, the Space Marines versus Necrons box last year.
Indomitus.
Indomitus, thank you.
He's got
Can't
it.
remember anything at the moment. That's them minus some Scarabs plus a unit of Warriors, I think is what that is. I've got another unit of Warriors to paint, but yeah, that's most of. I think that turns out at roughly 1,000 points with everything all told. So yeah, it was actually quite fun. It was kind of an experiment. That picture's not really showing what's going on at all, because it all turned out quite dusty and bronze there. But it was kind of an experiment.
How they're supposed to look?
That is how they're supposed to look, yeah, roughly. But in real life, there's kind of some different color differentials and things. I've just taken a rubbish photo, to be honest. It was kind of an experiment.
Color shifting paints on the guns or something?
No, it was airbrushing mostly.
Right.
So it was me trying to do the guerrilla miniature wargaming or tabletop titans, those kind of things, where they throw a color scheme onto the models as quickly as possible with an airbrush to get them on the table, kind of thing. But it always looks pretty good until you look carefully. So I was trying to go with that, relatively contrasty kind of colors that all match, but with a kind of rusty look to it all. So I could throw the colors of the paints on as quickly as possible. I think it turned out okay. I was pretty happy with it in the end.
They have a very much arisen from the dust kind of look about them, and that's the story, right? So it's,
exactly.
It's just like you said, miniature painting. You said Necrons, you spray them silver, right?
Pretty much, yeah. They started bronze and they didn't change much throughout their time, other than a bunch of washes and contrasts and a bit more airbrushing.
Sound like the beginning of Benny Hill jump. You want us to trim your hedge, mate? If you want to come round and trim my hedge, feel free. Liberace Orc Pianist. Is that a model?
I think he was talking about the chandelier head.
Oh,
a very fashionable look to the.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes more sense. Jason's, oh man, I'm getting bolt action cravings. Jason, just do it. Just do it.
Play the game.
Play the game. Steiner didn't seem to have any problems with his drum mag. We'll get in with Gary. Hey, good evening there, buddy.
Hello, Gary.
Battle Knight says, "What Necron tanks are tiny." Was he talking about the Scarabs or something?
No, there was some tanks just behind the Necrons in that picture.
Oh, I see. T-34s and KVs back here, right?
Yeah, these tiny Necron tanks. Right. Okay. So that's the pictures. I've showed
all
you
the pictures.
We're hoping Jason's going to join us next time, and we're going to talk about fantasy games. Because I've been, I've got getting that itch. You got that itch. I've been to the pharmacy. I've got some.
Did you put the cream on?
I put the cream on, and it's not settling down, mate. It's still. I've got a deep urging to do some fantasy gaming. So if we get Jason on, he's a man who likes a bit of fantasy, and he can tell us a bit about some of the systems that are out there, and we can pick one.
Nice.
I think.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. So what have you got coming up then, Justin? You said you were moving on to bolt action now, did you say?
Well, at the moment it's ECW at the moment, and
that's right.
I've just decided to go with the Royalists, and that's like I said, it's all Martin's fault from Seventh Son. And
they've got better
hashtag
blame Martin. Hashtag blame Martin. But no, actually, I was actually looking on the Modeling for Advantage website today.
Oh, mate, it's awesome.
For some bolt action stuff. I was actually flicking through and I thought, oh, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. That's quite nice.
Really?
So I'd imagine you might have an order coming up very, very soon.
PayPal details handy next time, mate, and you'll find satisfaction. Mrs. Kaiser hand wraps each one, touched by her own fair hands.
I will have to put an order in, I think.
Is that modelling for advantage.co.uk? All stock is available right now. It's on the website.
Yeah, absolutely. Chill. Okay, so if you are interested, we do have a store. It's 15% off normal retail. At the moment, we still have some Warlord products at the pre-price update until we sell that item. When it's sold, we'll then relist the new ones at the new prices. So, because they did go up like quite a bit, like those £90 armies became 100, that kind of thing. The £75 bolt action starter set became 84. No, it's not inconsiderable. Fantasy Itch, I think Wily Games might and the Melee will solve that for me, or possibly Kings of War. I did paint 3/4 of a dwarf army for Kings of War, and I never got round to playing it.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, you painted an ogre, right? One.
I did. I painted the one. The models were so horrible to put together, I didn't get much further.
7TV Fantasy is worth a look. I do have Wily Games Fantasy on order. Well, I mean, I'm going to talk about this more next week, I think. But I increasingly realise that we like skirmish games. You know, the size of board, the amount of time that we have. We want a 1 hour game, 1.5 hour game. And from a painting perspective, we really don't want, if we can avoid it, no more than 20 models aside, but certainly no more than 50. And that rules out a huge number of games. It's like John might paint 20 models at a push. And I mean, I've got a work in. Do you know what I mean? I've got to be nice.
It's so I mean, sometimes I get really, really enthused, but even then, it's like I'll paint 20 of them really enthusiastically, and then the other 25 that I need to complete. Well, you know,
one sleepless, foodless day later, you've managed to paint all 20 models in 8 hours.
The thing with getting into a new system is it's difficult really to know where you want to go with that. So we did that with what happened with the Team Yankee stuff in the very early days. We played Tanks Modern and started Team Yankee. John painted some of the Soviets. I painted some of the Americans. And actually, if we knowing now, you know, what we know now is what we know then. The Americans have got a far more difficult camouflage scheme and so forth, and have a much smaller number of models on the table. Whereas, because John's painted 10 of the T64s, if I paint one now, it's going to look totally different. But 10 T64s doth not make an army in Team Yankee.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of army. Do you know what I mean? It's yes, that's my unit of 10 T64s, and that's my other unit of 10 T64s.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, it's interesting with all that kind of stuff. What fantasy games do people recommend out there? I'm seeing obviously there's a lot of love for Wily Games, but I know that Todd and what's the podcast called? Rocky's War Room. They're huge fans of Wily Games over there. Yeah, 50. I like that number. Yeah, I mean, Wily 50 outside. Because I feel at 20 models, I'm prepared to paint 20 models to try your game. I think
almost anything.
Yeah. Once we're getting up towards 50, I'm like, I'm not so sure. And when we get past 50, it was like, what? You want me to paint 50 models to try your game, and then I'm going to discover that I need a different 50 models. Now I know how the game works. Do you know? It's like, whoa. And that's how Games Workshop gets you, innit? So, there you go. Here's a starter box with a load of models in it. Go away, play with them, paint them, then come back and buy completely different models. Because those ones are junk. Some TV fantasy about 10 figures aside. The metagame you're filming is 70s, 80s fantasy movie. Oh, John, you can be the barbarian.
Oh,
I know, right?
I can see this.
Justin can be the rogue.
I already
and I'll
have
be the little
Conan.
beardy dungeon master dude.
I already have Conan and Valeria and all of that lot.
Nice. If you look at the box art for that game, you can already see a broadsword.
It's a broadsword.
Broadsword. Oh, you won't like it. There's all sorts of templates and stuff. All right, we'll see.
Templates
and cards.
Yeah, flame templates, cards, all sorts.
Oh, mate. I had Cryomech when I was a kid. That guy had see-through plastic templates. It was awesome.
Beautiful.
And
I think
terrible.
I still have a rule set up in the loft of that. Not mine, my brother's mind, but I never played it.
Are they a viable army to have? Like any game with a point system, Gary, the Japanese are very competitive because you can take bizarre units. They don't fight using Western fighting methods. So, for example, you can have naked dudes with spears, which are incredibly cheap, and they're probably too cheap. So they actually do far better than they should do. You get some odd unit things. You can take a unit of infantry with a load of light mortars in it because they just organize their army a little bit different. And when you put that into a system like bolt action, it ends up being a particularly strong advantage.
Where one mortar can throw off the balance of an entire game in a few seconds.
Whereas you can have 3 mortars buried behind 6 bodies because you target the unit, don't you? You know, those kind of things. A lot of those kind of non-British, German, American armies come out a bit silly because what they've done is they found the things about the armies that are different, and I understand that. I understand why they would want to do that. But they tend to be the things that wargamers find interesting, which is that, look, there's this really interesting unit here because it's odd. Why? Because everyone's got a machine gun. All right. Okay. Yeah. Or something of that nature. Yeah.
Not advising you to do that, Gary, though. We don't put things in his head. And he's going to go buy some Japanese. And nobody's going to play him because he's that guy that turns up.
Because he becomes that guy.
50 German.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get some for my goals. I'm going to get some war dogs. I've decided. I can't quite cope with the World War II Soviet war dogs, but I like the idea of having some dogs in my army. So with the Celts, I'm going to have some Gallic war dogs. So, Justin, if you were gonna play one of these games, what would it? You know, what's your secret desire? Someone's going to babysit you through it.
It's got to be something.
Come sit in my lap, and I'll make you happy.
Well, anyway, it's got to be something quick, simple, small side, like say 20, 25, maybe 30 guys a game, or a side, something simple, so simple that I can understand it. As in, like, not GW like rules where you roll like 5 different dice because he's got a protection spell or some crap like that. But something quick and simple and easy for me. And
you paint Napoleonics.
Yeah.
That's different. There's a game with them. He's happy to pay 120 Napoleonic dudes.
Yeah.
Cool. You don't have to game with them.
No.
You can, but you don't have to.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, is bolt action, is that easy to pick up? Or would that be or not?
Relative.
I'd say so.
Relative. I'd say it's fairly straightforward. It's got, like any game, you know, when you get into close combat or you have to take a morale check, you need to get the book out. You know, either the games don't have those type of rules, you know, they just ignore close combat, saying this is a shooting game, there is no close combat rules or something. Anything that doesn't happen really commonly can get a bit clunky, I think. And that's for me. So this is one of the things which I think is the real test of a stronger game, is how often you find yourself in the position where you need to go to the book, and even when you're looking at the book, you can't really work out how it's supposed to work. And the newer, stronger games from bigger companies are just more slick with that. They have seen this problem before. They've built it into their rules, and it's a thing that with the kind of lower cost rule sets, you have far more problems with that. Now, for me, as a player, that doesn't really matter because I'm the kind of player that can work out with the other player what's supposed to happen. And when those things happen, we had a bolt action game. So the British, for every 3 rifles firing, they get an extra rifle, yeah?
Yeah.
To represent the high rate of fire. They effectively count as 4. Right. So what happens when 2 of those rifles are at short range and one of them's at long? What
Exactly.
range is that fourth dice?
Yeah.
What range is that?
That literally
He's,
won't, unless that's written in a book. Like,
well, no,
you just decide between you.
You could either just say roll a dice, 1, 2, 3. It's the short range. 4, 5, 6 is the long range. You could do
just
that.
an example of what I was saying of a rule set which I've played very.
Yeah.
That's a situation where something happened very recently. This just isn't going to be covered by the rules, so you need to be grown up about this and cover it at the time.
Yeah.
And it was very easy because in that game the British player said, "I'll just count that extra one as at long," and then it's just that's just easier. And obviously that's the best solution. There is when the player who may or may not have advantage from it defers. Obviously, because then there's no contest. That's the gentleman's approach, I guess. Dare I say? But those kind of problems go away when you have less modifiers and when you have less interaction of different types of modifiers. So in a lot of more modern systems, you don't shoot my figure at your figure. You shoot the closest point of my unit with the closest point of your unit. So then all of those questions go away. Which of these weapons are in range? Model placement. Because I personally have a real bee in my bonnet over model placement. That I cannot believe I'm playing an abstract miniatures game and you want me to be concerned about where exactly which model in the unit is placed. I'm not saying, for some people I think it's important for their immersion. For me, it just means that to be a half decent player, I have to carefully consider exactly where I place each of these models and consider what they're then going to do in subsequent turns. I was like, I don't think anybody benefits from the time spent on this. Is more my point.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's a yes of deep disagreement.
Yeah, go for it, John.
No, it's not disagreement. I was just thinking a lot of people, when you see it, that's like a big thing, again, in the 40k thing and the affiliate games like Bolt Action, which is 40k, right? It is a big thing for that. And I think a lot of people do embrace that. But, yeah, I can see where you're coming from as well. It's like, hang on a minute, we're literally pushing dudes around and, you know, it's pew pew.
It's wrong. It's just the amount of time it takes to do it well.
Yeah.
It's not that I can't see why it matters. It's just like I'm all for streamlining the game system and removing the things that take time and don't add a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what you just said there,
especially with like, sorry.
I was just going to say, in regards to what you said there in the, you know, point to point, the blue books, the Osprey blue books do that a lot, the Lion Rampant and Dragon Rampant. So I think you're going to like that about it. Yeah, it's just that dude, assume that everything's moving, and if that one man is in range of another, then the whole unit is, which is cool. Sorry, James.
That's right. I played through 6th and 7th edition for a long time, and I think I'm one of the few defenders of those editions. You do really just get used to how far 2 inches is when you're placing models. Like, this model needs to be 2 inches from this model, and you just put them down. Like when we're playing something like Bolt Action, I know what 18 inches is. Just in my head, I've got like this to this is 18 inches. It's already built in. So you end up with like that 2-inch measurement as well. And it seems like a concern at first, but it doesn't turn into one. And if you want to tactically choose to not do that, there's threats to it. Like, it's another tactical option of placement.
Yeah. I mean, I got really good at that. I had 36 years of dealing with 2 inches under my belt. So, yeah, I got down with that pretty quick.
On a warm day. It's and I understand what you're saying. I don't know whether 6th and 7th had these modifiers, but in Bolt Action you've got range modifiers, as in range band modifiers. So within any given unit, in a standard infantry unit, you have 3 weapons with 3 different range performances at different range bands. So your SMG's got a 6-inch short and a 12-inch long. Your rifle's got a 12-inch short and a 24-inch long, and your LMG's got an 18-inch short and a 36-inch long. And I don't think that you gain anything by worrying about, of these 6 riflemen, how many of them are in short and long range for a -1 on the chart, is the SMG. And the SMG is a massive difference, because at long range, at 12 inches, it's -1 to hit, but it flips on its head because at the close range, it goes from -1 to hit to being no minus to hit, and then another +1 for being at point blank because it's within 6 inches. And I'm just like, it's one weapon though, and they're not rifles and machine guns are not how you kill things in bolt action. You need HE for that. It doesn't. It's not hugely lethal, but there's quite a lot of nadgeriness in the place. Anyway, look, we're already spending far more time talking about it. I prefer to not care where the sergeant is stood in a squad, and just assume that's an independent squad of guys. They're in roughly this footprint area, and they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's how I prefer. Bolt action doesn't do that, but I certainly prefer that. Sorry, gone off down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Where have we got up to with our hobbying this evening? I have been chatting away and coughing and got no farther than removing the heads. But I have separated out the helmeted from the unhelmeted, so I'm ready. John, helmeted or unhelmeted?
Depends really. Out of the commando team that I've been doing, I've put flesh on this Celt.
Is that a Roman cameraman?
This is what I should have been working on. This is for SPQR, mildly converted.
Oh no, that's my new hero.
That's your new hero, sir.
Nice.
So yeah, I played with that. I've nearly got an LMG team done, so that's cool.
Nice.
The commandos, Mr. Workshop, sir.
Show them the things, James.
Did lots of base coating of uniforms.
That's good.
I love Soviet uniforms because what I did was I cracked out sort of a tan yellow and a Russian uniform green and just sort of mashed them up and painted on whatever. Just absolutely whatever.
Are there some cheeky, what's she called? Bad Squiddo ones in there?
No, none of those are Bad Squiddo. I do have some Bad Squiddo miniatures though. Got the female scouts, which I absolutely love the models.
Are you going to paint the camouflage on them?
No, of course not. They're wearing white suits. It's in the snowman.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to paint the camouflage in a snowsuit. How far have you got, Austin? What have you been up to?
Austin. That's a new one.
That's a new one.
Oh, sorry. God.
No, I like it.
All right, Austin, how you doing?
That's as far as I got on 12-man unit for my Firelock team.
For your
the Firelock team. And the Firelock team, are they like crazy skirmisher dudes?
Yeah, they're literally the skirmishers of the Napoleonic era. They just run forward with the muskets loaded. That's as far as I got.
Wow.
12 of those.
Not bad, though.
Nice. So, 1 3/4 done, 192 figures to go. That's that.
Yeah, basically.
I'm very interested in doing some Bishop's War myself. I like the quite fancy having a Covenanter armor, maybe a Dur Puritan Scot. I like it cold and hard. On that note, on Friday, not quite sure what we're going to give you on Friday. If I manage to get it edited, it will be the Team Yankee video, which John and I have just played. Footage looked pretty good, although I haven't started the editing yet. That's hopefully what it is. I know James is going to work on another beautiful little World of Tanks shorts for you on the IS. And next week, we're hoping to have Battle Knights out, Jason, and we will talk in a bit more detail about some different fantasy systems that he's played, some of which he's played with Mr. Johnny B. And that's over on Battle Knights. If you don't get enough of the pasty gingers on my channel, you go over to Battle Knights, and if you select them carefully, you will find. Does he flag them like #ginger on the ones that you're in?
No, but they're the ones. If you look for the ones with a very low view count, then that will be the ones I'm in.
So, again, Justin, before we go, if you just remind the people at home where they can find you and what you do, but specifically the name of your channel and that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah, my name's Justin. I am the miniature painter. If you go onto YouTube, just type in the miniature painter and I'll be on there. I paint anything historical, so Napoleonics, ECW, American War of Independence, American Civil War, anything really, and also bolt action as well. And I've also, I forgot to show you guys, built a Messerschmitt.
Ooh.
Tiny little Airfix Messerschmitt, which I got from
Reveal.
Hobbycraft. And I've even done a little guy inside as well. So that is
Nice.
I don't think Johnny B will be able to hold a plane without making the noises. I might be wrong. Would you be able to make?
Let's find out. No, he can't.
No, he
Not
can't.
capable.
We have on some of our videos where it's particularly, Johnny B does like his statements, his phrases, his ooshes and his skidooshes, etc. But when we were playing the Battle Out of the Box Team Yankee game, he kept making the gunfire noises as well. And there are several comments about the sound effects. Because, and I maybe you guys don't like it, but I think you do if you're here. We're still 12-year-olds when we're playing the games, right? We still want to pick up the planes and go,
yeah, man.
That's that people talk about immersion. It's not about terrain. It's about sound effects you make yourself to enhance the game experience.
Yeah, 100%.
We've been playing SPQR. I don't even think it's that great a system, but we have been loving it by talking about having character names like Biggest Dickus. Yeah, that's just 100%. The entertainment value of this game is the name of the heroes. Follicus, Gladiator of Rome.
And how they progress and how many more.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're playing a campaign. Why? Because we want to stick with these guys. We want to follow Follicus. All right. That was us for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for the heavy shilling earlier, but we do have a list to make.
Expect it every week.
Stop doing the real job and do this for real. That's never gonna happen. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.